Check the mic and make sure it sounds.
Hello guys, welcome back to the Coco on Air Basketball Podcast, and this is the third episode. And this episode is a unique one because this episode is going to be all about sneakers, and we have got with us today all the sneakerheads and basketball players. I'll introduce them. We have Siddhant Bajaj, who is a sneakerhead and also a basketball player. Aman Sheikh, who also is a sneakerhead and basketball player, and Aryan Talera, who is also a huge sneakerhead. So we are very happy to have you all with us, and very happy to have this conversation about sneakers, because sneakers is the only thing that basketball players can convey the message through. And obviously, basketball players are very much bigger influencers than other social media influencers, because they have a voice and that can be heard. So obviously the sneakers they wear and what they wear and whom they support, all this we're going to talk about all this.
The Converse weapon, that's the shoe that smashed to do what he was born to do.
It may be so, but that's not all. They let Isaiah play like he's 10 feet tall.
For the kind of moves that never fail, the weapon's the choice of Kevin McHale.
The same is true for Mark Aguirre. When I wear weapons, I'm on fire.
Well, what can the weapons do for King? Well, I can do just about anything.
You already know what you did for me.
What?
I walked away with the MVP.
The Converse weapon, the #1 weapon in the NBA.
So we'll start with the history of sneakers in basketball. And in the older days, it was Converse, which were the main shoes that every legend wore, from Will Chamberlain, Magic Johnson to Mark Aguirre. And these players were the best players in that era. And those shoes were meant for hardwood basketball. And so those were the styles and the brand that they use at that time. But obviously we all know everything has changed, and the one guy who changed the whole sneaker history was obviously Michael Jordan. But before that, we are going to talk about the Nike company, who made a huge difference in NBA and basketball. And obviously the story of Nike getting big in basketball was like how other brands started making deals with the league, with the NBA. Nike was the only sports brand that started sponsoring players and not the league. That's how their popularity started increasing, because players were repping them. And so obviously Nike signed the prodigy of NBA basketball, who later on is, obviously we all recognize him as the GOAT. That's Michael Jordan. And for that, I would like Aman Sheikh to talk about how Michael Jordan created this whole another level of craze for the sneakers and sneakerheads.
Okay, yes, thank you, Pratish. So as far as I can remember, people our age, the most relevant sneaker that anyone thinks of when it comes to basketball is mostly the Air Jordan silhouette, like the whole series of the Air Jordan silhouette. In today's world, I don't think anyone can even imagine or fathom playing in the Converse Chuck Taylors. That just seems impractical, impossible. So the Jordan collab with Nike released in 1985, when the Air Jordan 1 was released, the Chicago colorway, which is the most iconic shoe, in my opinion, of the basketball world, both on and off court. So Jordan brand has 35 silhouettes which have come out till now. Most of them are still relevant right now. The Air Jordan 1, the Air Jordan 3, the Air Jordan 4, 5, 6, the 11, which came when Michael Jordan featured in Space Jam, the 13, the infamous Black Cats one, his flu shoes, and then after which Jordan retired, and then the players still kept on wearing his shoes. So I would just like to show a comparison between the shoe then and what the Jordan brand is producing right now. So we have with us Air Jordan 1. This is a colorway released recently, which is based on Michael Jordan's, the college Michael Jordan went to, University of North Carolina. So this is the UNC Air Jordan 1. And this is a fairly newer shoe in that aspect. This is the Air Jordan 34. So this right now, I don't think I've seen anyone play in Air Jordan 1s for as long as I have played. I don't think anyone's wearing these shoes right now. They might wear them to parties or off court. These look like something you can spot off the court when you go for some event or anything. But this looks like the real deal. This you can wear right now. This looks like a very comfortable, technologically advanced shoe. This can be worn indoor with the sole, and it just looks right. It looks proper. It looks right to play in the sport of basketball in. So that was about Jordan. So what Jordan basically did for us in basketball is it gave every player like a benchmark to like of greatness. Like if you have a shoe named after yourself, that's basically something to be proud of. And that's what started first with Jordan. And then during that era, and now still have people wearing Jordan shoes. So back to Pritish.
Yeah, definitely. Jordans have made that statement where if you have Jordans, obviously you have to be the greatest player, like the best player on the team and something like that. So yeah, I mean, Jordan is the guy who set the trend, but now Jordan brand is signing a lot of young and upcoming athletes. Like so these players are obviously taking the torch from Jordan and keeping the Jordan brand alive. Because they are with like Jordan is also partnered with Nike, and they both do collaborations, as Aman said. And these shoes these sneakers that players get as signature sneakers for them, they are also like obviously the technology and everything, as Aman said, that the technology that they had at that time wasn't that much, that wasn't that affordable, or that technologically it was very old, and players had to go through the pain that they had to go through. But now the technology is very like every shoe is made with the specifications of that player, or what they like to wear. So obviously these signature shoes represent their shoe style, like what they like and how they want the shoes to be, how comfortable they want the shoes to be. So obviously we talked about Jordan and Nike, how Jordan brand is the greatest brand ever. But along with that, like I won't say new, but other star players or other the legends, upcoming legends, Hall of Famers who have deals with Nike, like LeBron James, Kobe Bryant, Kyrie, and Kevin Durant. These guys obviously are the greatest players, that they obviously have to be in the Hall of Fame. And I would like to pass it on to Aman and just talk about how Kyrie's and LeBron's also made a great impact with collaboration with Nike.
Okay, yes. So Nike isn't all about what Michael Jordan did with it. I mean, it is a big part of the collab with Nike, but Nike also has had many revolutionary deals with players after Michael Jordan. There has been Penny Hardaway, then the Air Foam Posite, what came in the 1990s. After which Kobe Bryant, who initially signed for Adidas, had then signed with Nike. And I think in his tenure with Nike, Kobe released the Nike Mamba Kobe 2 till all the way till he retired in 2016. He released the Kobe 11. Every signature Nike shoe has been a good example of the personality of the player himself. I mean, when you go from Kobe to LeBron, you feel like LeBron shoes, for example, the LeBron 70. This looks aggressive. This looks like the player LeBron is. This looks like something that will be dominant on the court. When you go to KD's, when you go to Kyrie's, when you go to Kevin Durant, who has had now his 13th shoe with Nike, his shoes they look very sleek. They look very like the kind of player he is. Like he can just run past you, make a jumper, and you won't even notice. Mm-hmm. The shoes with Kyrie, he has had 7 shoes now. They are also very representative of who Kyrie is as a player. They are very friendly with every court, every player. Like mostly ball handlers can wear them. I mean, what I feel is like every collab Nike has had with the players, they've allowed the athlete to take over and design a shoe which will be preferable for the athletes, like for what the athlete can show out to the world, for what he can express. which is in my matter in my mind been the most important influential thing about Nike, and why Nike is more dominant in the league right now, with most of the athletes just wearing Nike shoes and the other brands having only a part of the business.
Yeah. So talking about those other brands such as Under Armour, Adidas, Puma, and New Balance, with the new company New Balance who has got into the basketball scene. Obviously, Under Armour is obviously repped by Stephen Curry, and for Adidas we have Harden, Damian Lillard, Donovan Mitchell, and Trae Young. And for New Balances, they have signed Kawhi Leonard, who obviously, like, if you see about these brands and signing players, they sign a player who is specifically is like that brand. So what I feel is New Balance is totally like Kawhi Leonard. New Balance is like old school. They won't be flashy, but they will be very durable, like Kawhi Leonard, who has obviously played a lot of seasons and have won MVPs, Finals MVP, and won championships. So all these players that they sign are the players who have dominated the league once or are dominating still. So I would like to ask a question to you, Aman, as you also play basketball, and I don't know what you prefer, but that's what I wanted to ask you. If you prefer high ankle shoes or low ankle shoes or mids.
I don't have a preference as much. Right now I've been wearing the LeBron 16s mostly, which are low tops, which are very comfortable in my sense. I've mostly throughout my short career, I've only worn, I think, Nike shoes. Like my first basketball sneaker was an Adidas one, but after that I switched to Nike, and I have been wearing Nike shoes for the past 3-4 years. And I do not have any, I don't think I'm going to switch after this, because Nike makes the most durable, and for the Indian hardwood floor, for the outdoor floors, which are basically very not very durable for you, or not very safe for your shoe. Nike makes the most friendly, pocket friendly also, and the most relevant, the most not very flashy, but you can wear them to a party as well. So yeah, I like low tops personally. High tops are a little bit over the top for me. So I would prefer low tops over high tops.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks for that. And also thanks for talking with us about the on-court scene of basketball shoes. And also a fun fact for the viewers: PJ Tucker is the guy who has been a guy who has every shoe that he can get. He's the guy. He's an NBA player. He plays for the Milwaukee Bucks, and he's in the playoffs right now. And he has I don't know how much shoes he has, but he has like 3 or 4 cupboards.
He has every shoe out there.
Every shoe out there. So just a fun fact there. So thank you, Aman, for the whole elaboration of on-court shoes. So we're coming to the impact of basketball shoes on lifestyle, like when you wear for party wear, for just casual wear and everything, and how basketball shoes have created their own other level of hype in lifestyle shoes. And we've got for that Siddhant Bajaj and Arihan Talera. So I would like to pass it on to you guys and go for it. Just kill it.
Yeah. So I'd like to start by saying thank you for having me on this podcast. Overall, I feel all of y'all will agree that nowadays basketball shoes have become a huge style statement. I mean, people who are probably the furthest from ever playing basketball in their lives, as well as the players who are playing the NBA, everybody is wearing basketball shoes, no matter what they want to do in life. I mean, it's not that if you're a basketball player, you have to go out and buy basketball shoes. They've become a hype. Everybody's running for the shoes. Shoes are selling out in no time. It's become an entire market. It's become a resale market. And it's extremely interesting to see how this happened. I mean, from shoes being a necessity, I would say maybe 40 years ago, it's become a statement now. You have to have the newest shoe. You have to have the most flashy shoe for some people. For some people, it needs to be sleek and clean, but they're still out there. People know what you're wearing. People know who you're wearing, and let Arihant, what do you have to add to this?
So as Sid said, everyone right now wants a piece of the action, which is, streetwear is the new thing to be in. But if you look at it from the other side, there's so many famous brands in the world like Christian Dior and Louis Vuitton. All of them, they also want a piece of the pie too. So they all approached Jordan brand, and in a way, if you look at Dior, they weren't the average age of a Dior customer was well in his 40s, or maybe even higher. But so they wanted to attract the more younger millennial Gen Z crowd. So they came up with a collaboration between Dior and Air Jordan, which was known as the Air Dior, and it came out in 2020. It's the most expensive retail price Jordan to ever be launched, and luckily I got to get one piece of it, and that's the shoe. And what it really was is a winning combination, because you've got the classic AJ1 silhouette, and you mix that with Italian leather and the best materials in the world. So it's really like one of the top level quality wise Air Jordans. And even because they released it in limited supply, only 8,500 pairs made, it's also a classic case of supply and demand, which is why these shoes have just blasted in resale prices. Even stepping aside from the shoes, um, there's so many companies who've also got out streetwear like t-shirts and hoodies and small leather goods in combination with NBA. One of the very recent product launches was of Louis Vuitton with NBA. It's known as the LV NBA Capsule Collection, and it's basically utilizing the colorways and the um, logo styles and the 80s and 90s design language with the iconic LV canvas. So, as much as there's a big market and big demand amongst young people nowadays to get these type of shoes and cool clothes and all, it's equally the brands stepping up their game too and getting ready to serve products to the new generation of buyers that's growing in countries like India, countries like China, where there's just huge demand and lots of money, people are spending money. And another a few interesting things what the Jordan brand and Adidas and all in general have done is it's led to the rise of this resale market where prices are just exploding for each shoe. But at the same time, it's changing the way sneakers are launched. In the 80s, when the Air Jordans were coming out, people used to line up in hundreds outside Nike stores waiting to get a hold of a shoe. But now it's all gone digital. You've got companies like GOAT and StockX, and the official sneakers app where you get these shoes. But now StockX wants to change that by launching all of the shoes universally on their platform itself, thereby eliminating brick and mortar sales and also through the Nike sneakers app. And it will eliminate retail pricing as well, because everyone will determine the price, how much to pay for the shoe. Nike won't say that, oh, this is $120 shoe. The market thinks it's $800 shoe. It will launch as a $800 shoe. So there's so many intricacies surrounding the sneaker market in general that is really interesting to study and follow it.
Adding to what you started with, the hype culture, there's so many brands in the world that are known to be extremely fancy brands where people will go to make a nice suit, make some really nice leather goods. Brands like that nowadays have started making sneakers and hoodies. I mean, I never thought I would see such really high quality Italian leather manufacturers coming out with a pair of sneakers that a businessman would wear on a suit. I mean, you never thought that would be something you'd see, but that's what's happening now, and people are going crazy over it. I mean, for example, Dior's made dress shirts with the Air Dior logo. They've made card holders with the Air Dior logo. I mean, did we ever think that would be a situation we'd be in? And that would be a situation that these top brands would adapt to because of the size of this hype culture all around the world. I mean, we're seeing brands like Nike and Adidas make shoes which are no longer for sports. I mean, you have the Fear of God ones. You have a few pairs of shoes that I have here, like the Pharrell Williams, Human Race. I mean, these shoes have come out in, I think, over 100 colorways. Aman, correct me if I'm wrong. And not a single pair of these shoes is used to play a sport. They are all just for style statements. They're all just to make a point. I mean, this pair of shoes has Chinese writing on it. I mean, nobody will ever be able to read it. But just for people to know, this says inspire. Like one of the pairs says inspire. I'm not sure what the other one says. So it's basically to make a statement, get your point across. I mean, another one, we all know Yeezys, right? Has anybody ever worn a pair of any of the Yeezys to play in? They'd probably be very good to go for a run, but I don't think they're comfortable to play basketball in. But then at the end of the day, they have made the statement. I mean, he's made an outstanding brand with Adidas. So things like this, they're very, very, they're now starting to cater just to the style part, the fashion. They're no longer making these shoes to cater to actual basketball. The fashion statements that the players make when they walk into the stadium. I mean, we have players wearing brands from as simple as your Puma and Nike to Off-White and Baluti. I mean, the bags they carry, the strollers they come with. I mean, to make a point that somebody's entered with a actual retro Jordans, they bring the torn box and the shoes in them. Another big thing, what Virgil Abloh was one of the few people who started, was writing on sneakers. I mean, we saw it when Kobe sadly passed away, that every player out there on the court the next day had it written all over his sneakers in a way to pay tribute to the legend. These are few things that I feel have evolved and have really started to make a difference. I mean, they make their point through the shoes they wear. Let's see, Ariant, you have a few examples of people coming into the course. So I think Aman may have a few wearing a few different outfits.
Another point to add was, if you look at the timeline, it's the legendary collaboration between Michael Jordan and Nike that led to Air Jordan. Then Air Jordan in turn did many collaborations with Dior and other artists and brands. And now even in streetwear, clothing companies like Off-White, they want to make t-shirts or hoodies with Air Jordan. So it's really become a whole different universe and a whole different marketplace where everything, I mean, in a way, is revolving around basketball, and within basketball, it's mainly revolving around Michael Jordan.
So, Aman, I think you had a few things to add about the Travis collection.
Oh yeah.
Travis
So
Jordan.
there have been I think off-court sneaker wear is as relevant as on-court, if not more relevant than on-court sneaker wear right now. Because you see, like, for normally when we go to play, we're wearing probably slides or we're wearing the same basketball shoes that we're going to wear in the game, and just go play, change into our tracks or whatever, and then come back home. But what the players in the NBA?
One thing to add to that, nowadays we've started people making slides, which are again these brands. So
Yeah,
literally coming
exactly.
down to that level, also people have started making statements and style symbols through that.
With the socks, the slides, like even the smallest thing you can wear while playing, every brand has. Like Supreme had an arm sleeve with the NBA, which got banned, but they had an arm sleeve, like even the smallest thing which you can wear other than the uniform, because the uniform you cannot
Correct.
change. So even the smallest thing you can wear other than uniform. I mean, I won't be surprised tomorrow if we see headbands and wristbands like with brands like Off-White or Supreme. So like in the players just turn up in the weirdest styles possible. I mean, I'm sure everyone of our audience is active on Instagram. They can just check any of the pages which are relevant, probably Bleacher Report, Kicks or whatever, and they can just see, like, you see Kevin Durant mostly randomly pulling up in these shoes. These are the Travis Scott AJ1 lows, and these are some of the collabs which like everyone knows, and these people, the players, are just putting it out on the platform for people who don't know it, which is, I think, a very good thing. Even if you cannot have access to these shoes, I mean, the only knowledge, the little knowledge of them, I think, is very like one should have it.
Yeah.
It's actually
and
leading to many interesting careers as well. Like people are getting into industrial design and whatnot, which is good for these brands in the future because you never know where the next legendary AJ1 design comes from.
Yeah.
and
Adding to
adding to
that,
what you're
yeah.
sorry,
Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead. Go ahead.
okay, adding to what he's saying about Aman sir, you can't change the jerseys. Brands like these, even to have somebody wear a sock or a headband from them, the amount of viewership they get because these games are really widely viewed is just crazy.
Exactly.
And we've seen having a few sneakers from from a few different brands, most of them being AJ1 collabs. They're trying to up the level of kind of sneakers they sell. I mean, we're seeing the Air Diors right now, which are handmade Italian leather. Things like, you never expect Jordans to come with dust bags and little like silver hang tags, or Off-Whites, for example. Off-Whites come in beautiful dust bags, hang tags. They come with 4 colors of laces. You never thought that sneakers would be sold like this. You always thought you'd be paying a few hundred, if not a couple $1,000 to get shoes of this quality from top brands around the world. But now seeing Jordan do this, I mean, they're really upping the sneaker game and the level and the kind of sneakers they sell.
Yeah. So
Yeah,
adding to what Arihant said. So this creates a lot of job opportunities for designers who have their own passion for just creating a shoe for a player and just painting some what the player wants to put out a message to. So this guy from Overtime, right? He made they have their own shoe designer who paints shoes for players, and he made one shoe for Princepal Singh, who is in the G League right now with the Ignite team. And he made him a shoe representing, like he told him to make a shoe for him representing the farmers who were protesting against the government for the rights. So those kind of shoes where you can make a statement and you can send a message. And obviously, if you're an athlete and an athlete from India, so suppose, for example, we take example of Princepal Singh, right? An athlete from India who goes to US, and then there he creates a awareness about what's going on in his country. That's the biggest thing. That's the thing that where viewership comes in, where obviously people follow what the athletes say. And obviously we had Black Lives Matter movement where a lot of players, they might not be superstars, but they were there just to get a shoe where they could send a message. They also send a message about the Breonna Taylor's that she was killed, and that's why they had to send a message to the government, like, what are you doing? Why aren't you taking any action? So they had a lot of sneakers for that too. So like with jerseys and all being a statement, also how what all of you have said about the sneakers that make a statement is definitely rightly said by all of you.
Another point,
and
just
yeah, go ahead.
just drawing out, if you look back in the 1920s, it was the Roaring Twenties. That was the term coined for that period. And even then, like, people were going mad in the beginning, buying, brands like Louis Vuitton. They were just picking up because these brands are like 100 years old, these Italian brands specifically. So even there was a unique design trend, like a different design language and a particular type of hype that built up in the 20s, and we're sort of seeing that replicating again in this 20s decade, in the 21st century, where streetwear is sort of becoming the new go-to. Suits are getting old fashioned, shirts, pants, and jeans and all, they're all out. Now it's sweatpants and your off-white hoodie and your Jordans. Or so you know it's sort of history repeating itself in a different design language, if you can say so. but every period has got its own identity, and I feel the Jordan brand is a iconic symbol, if not of the whole world in the 80s or 90s of the sports world, but at least of the United States and basketball.
Yeah.
Yeah, adding to this, I know our podcast this time is just about sneakers, but the entire hypebeast culture that's being formed right now, it's not only sneakers. I mean, I guess in the next few years, it's already started, but everything literally from your socks to your bags to your shirts, your hoodies, simple things like a hat or a headband that a player wears to a game has some message written on it, and that will be the next thing on the top page of one of the magazines or the NBA Instagram profile.
It's
So
all
it's
about
this
expressing yourself.
correct, this entire culture, this hype beast culture that's happening. I mean, we're talking about shoes prices going mad. I mean, here we have t-shirts and hoodies which are going for hundreds and thousands of dollars, although they launch for what, 100 $120. And that's what is special about this hype culture is everybody wants the newest piece. They're willing to pay a lot for it, and that's where the resale market is also playing a huge role and doing a great job.
Yeah.
You've come a long way from Vans on the court and Jordan wearing his first pair, and now the whole world going mad after them. I mean,
And being able to go to
iconic
the
brand.
mall and pick up the newest piece that's launched.
Yeah.
Exactly.
We have to find
That's like
resale
very
sellers
rare
all around
now.
the world.
That is
And
very
we must
rare.
not forget also that the AJ1 now has become so famous that the US has trademarked it as a entity of the US. So okay, it's got its advantages as well in preventing counterfeited items from all over to replace the AJ1. But it shows that that particular shoe has made such a big impact that the federal government has gone and protected it by giving it a unique United States patent and stamp of approval. It's owned by the people. It's owned by the US.
Yeah. Great. This was a great episode with you all discussing about shoes, discussing about their power of just how they can be used as getting a message into with the people, and also just a style statement on and off the court. We had Siddhant Bajaj, Aryan Talera, and Aman Sheikh, who shared the expertise about the shoes and sneakers. And we are very grateful for you to have you with us. And we will see you all in the next episode. Peace out.
Thank you for having us, Coco. See you.
Thank you, Pratish. You're
Thank
doing a
you.
great job.
Amazing.